If you're interested in a calibration that makes your TV more accurate than Hotfix 1.9, you've come to the right place.
You're watching Everything OLED. Make sure to press subscribe to support the channel's growth.
As you guys know, Hotfix 1.9 was the most accurate one that we made. And as a bonus, we also was using a game optimizer. Now, this Hotfix 2.2 might very well be the last one that we make. I can't say it for certain, but I don't know if I can improve it any further. I might be able to do like a fine-tuning a little bit here and there and maybe squeeze out one more 2.3, you know, that type of thing. And I'm gonna keep on doing these types of videos if I can, but I'm like sitting here and I'm like, this is clean. And I found some issues with the panel with the Hotfix 1.9 and we've fixed those issues. I'll make sure to post this video a lot earlier for the paying channel members. So thank you guys so much for paying to become a monthly paying member on the channel. That supports me. So thank you so much for becoming a member. So let's start. Hold the input key on your Magic Remote. And you're gonna come to the home hub. You're gonna click on the three little buttons up in the corner, click edit input. And you need to make sure that your PS5, or whichever you're using, has a game console symbol. So you're gonna click on it, change it to game console if it doesn't already have it, and you can change the name right here. Doesn't really matter though what the name is, doesn't really matter. So now that we are back in the PS5, another thing that we have to make sure that we do is we're gonna check is 444 chroma enabled and is PC mode enabled. PC mode is obviously not enabled, we just changed that. So, but we gotta talk about 444 chroma. 444 chroma, if that is enabled, we cannot adjust the fine tune option. The fine tune option inside of the TV can also be soft locked. So it can lock itself if you are in, let's say you're in Game Optimizer and you're using the sports mode, the sports preset. Inside of those presets, you know that you have a Game Optimizer. Well, then the fine-tune option inside of the Game Optimizer will actually lock out those features and you will lose the boost of colors that you've done in that increment. Keep that in mind. Anyways, that's just a tidbit. HDMI settings, and we're going to make sure that 444 pass-through is disabled. Why? If you do this whole calibration and then enable 444 pass-through, it will essentially disable half of the calibration that we've just done. So don't enable it, don't use Dolby Vision PC, good. Now that we are on the same page, the first thing we're going to do, this is to completely make sure that our panels will survive for a long time. And this is the settings that I recommend for my own use and for your use at home if you're going to be using these settings. We want to take care of our OLEDs. So go into the settings tab, the general settings tabs, and go into OLED care and go OLED care panel, OLED panel care, sorry, and then enable D3. So screen move will shift the panel movement slightly. You won't see it once gaming or watching anything. It's totally fine. It does it very slowly and yeah, not a problem whatsoever. And it's gonna help your panels pixel health. And it's just gonna be so much worth it, guys. Please have this enabled. Adjust logo brightness. The higher this is, the more aggressive it is. So off gives you more brightness on highlights, and low kind of works a little bit in between. I tend to see that it kind of doesn't even really work when it's on low, only sometimes when it's really aggressive, then it kicks in. I like to have it on high. It's always cutting back the brightness a little bit, always, to make sure that your panel is a little safer. Personally, I think it's really good. I just don't wanna, like, having these three on at the same time will essentially be like you can go and take a shit for 20 minutes, you know, you left your panel like this. You're not gonna get any burn-in or image retention because the TV sees that, oh, I don't get a lot of movement going on. Obviously the background is moving, but it's obviously not like him doing anything. He has gone away. So I'm gonna dim the screen. And then when you come back, the freaking ambient sensor on the TV will see that you are moving in front of the TV and it will brighten up the TV again. So this is a really good option. Now, let's not talk anymore about that. Make sure that you are in Game Optimizer. Make sure that the AI service here, we have disabled all of these, the AI service functions. Then we're going to go all the way down to energy saving. Make sure that energy saving is disabled if you want to save a little bit of money in your household, because the TV might be pulling a lot of watts when you're pulling the HDR. You can limit the HDR from here. You can do minimum or medium to save a little bit of money. I wouldn't use auto because then it can dim a lot. But I would restrain from using this. It will ruin a lot of the impact for the TV. You can have the auto power off function to 2 hours. That's what I have. I think that's very good. If I go away and I accidentally left the TV on, it will turn off after 2 hours. And that's besides all of the other protection layers that we already have. So now let's move over to the actual calibration. So I found several issues. So we're gonna go into the secret menu first, the HDMI signaling override menu. So you're gonna hover on here. This is hovering like you have it dialed in white or whatever. And you're gonna press 111, 111. This is a step that you can't do on the newer models, the 5 series. So B5, C5 and G5 don't have this function anymore. Keep that in mind. At least from what I've heard, most of the people say, hey, I can't do this feature, why am I not able to, blah, blah, yeah. Maybe you could buy an LG remote, the C4 or C3 variant, and maybe then you could be able to get this to work. But I have seen people try that and it still didn't work, and for some people it did. So maybe it's a panel inch size kind of thing. I don't know. Or maybe it's region locked in some places. I don't even know. But on the C4 and older models it should be fine. So if you're going to be gaming in HDR, listen up now. If you're going to be gaming with HDR always on PC, you could be having like auto HDR enabled and HDR enabled at the same time, 2 different options, all enabled at the same time. And maybe you're on Xbox and that doesn't have HDR always on, so kind of sidestep Xbox for now. PlayStation users, maybe use HDR always on, right? And you want to play essentially only HDR games. You don't really tend to care about SDR games. Well, then you can put BT2020 and BT2020 D65 on these two. So calorimetry and mastering color. However, when you do that, when you put this one specifically to anything else than BT709 or BT709, think about it like this. I'm gonna try to, so that it doesn't become too much information, because I think obviously it can become a little too much if you don't understand what we're talking about here. Calorimetry, it's essentially how the panel, how do I explain this in English? Calorimetry is the peak color gamut reach of the output of the TV. If you put it to BT709, SDR content will look completely correct. No misalignment in colors, no weird issues near black, everything will be clean and perfect. However, if you pick BT2020, which is the panel's highest capability, so the widest color gamut it can reach, well, now you're gonna get colors that look more saturated. But what if you play a game that is in SDR, but you're doing HDR always on with BT2020? Well, actually, you're boosting colors beyond what they're supposed to be. You could say, oh, but we're getting BT2020 colors, HDR colors a little bit in SDR. Isn't that kind of okay? Yeah, it's okay, but skin tones will be ruined. Most likely quite a bit. They can be a little magenta tinged or reddish. Keep that in mind. And let's say, oh, but then, fuck it, I'm just gonna use auto then instead. Because then, if you pick auto, more chances than not, I've actually seen that it, weirdly enough, just hard, like soft defaults to P3 D65 when we do this. So DCIe P3 is the color gamut essentially. And why is this not good? Well, because the TV can't actually reach any good red colors. So you would never be able to see pure red. It will always be a tinge of orange in the red. So that's not nice. So if you want to use this TV for an accurate seminaristic kind of way where you're really like getting the nice colors. Either pick BT2020, or if you prefer SDR because you may be watching a lot of movies on the PS5, let's say, then maybe BT709 is the better choice. You will also get a lot less issues from HDR badly games when using BT709, but again, BT709 is gonna be a little bit desaturated for most people because maybe you're used to that BT2020 color from your LG OLED. And if you like colors, maybe BT2020 is better for you. I'm gonna pick BT2020 on my panel, but I am thinking aggressively of maybe going to BT709 because I really like when skin tones look woohoo perfect, you know? I like whoop. It makes me hard. Okay, let's move on. EOTF, if we are in HDR, ST2084 is correct. If you're gonna run HLG, then this calibration won't work. If you're gonna run auto because you're running SDR, then HDR, SDR, then HDR, you're switching in between modes, then auto is the one to go. But if you're always in HDR and you're making sure that it never goes out of HDR, it's HDR always on or auto HDR on PC, then I recommend ST2084. Mastering peak, this is specifically for C4. So honestly, if you're on any other panel, I will honestly refrain from doing this. You can't do 700, can you? Yeah, you can do 700. So maybe C3, C2 and C1, you can follow this step and you would put 700 on these two. But if you're gonna be using anything above a C4, I would recommend just putting auto on these three right here. Okay, this is essentially the average luminance value that the TV gets all the time throughout its very bright scenes. You know, ABL kind of restricts the TV like this, you know, it goes up in brightness, then it goes down, up, down, up, down. And that middle parting there is the average peak value of how bright the TV actually really is on average frames or scenes. So, the LG C4 is around 400 nits all the time. Then it can of course reach super high brightness on smaller window sizes and whatnot, but 400 nits is generally where it sits. C5 is a lot brighter. I think it's around 600 nits average, which is damn, very good. And obviously the G4 and G5 is gonna be even brighter. So if you have a G4, I would honestly maybe put like maybe 540 nits on this instead of a 400. But if you have the G5, you can put an easy 700 there. The problem is though, those panels don't support this menu. So if you're able to get this menu working, tell it in the comments to help the people out what you did. It could potentially help people, but make sure to take with a grain of salt if somebody puts that in, because if somebody lies about it and say, oh, I bought the remote and it works for me, but then it doesn't really work. If somebody sees that comment, that dude is gonna be tricked into buying that remote. So do a little more research before you just automatically trust a random dude in the comments. Always remember that, because it's for your own safety and your money, man. Don't waste it. Personally, I don't know if it works. I have not tried it on the C5, B5 and G5. So now let's move on to the next point, the actual funny parts. Okay, brightness, 100, HDRG, limited range, auto, motion eye care on, color. We're going to do auto detect, fine tune, because now we can use the fine tune. We're going to go through all of this just to check if I've done anything. No, but blue we're going to do on saturation, -15. Cyan, we haven't done anything. Magenta, we haven't done anything. Yellow, we haven't done anything. So good, okay. I'm gonna put that back to blue just because of my OCD. Doesn't have to do anything else. So yeah, we only changed blue to -15 on saturation. Color temperature is gonna be warm 45. Changing the color temperature to warm 50 and then dialing it back just by 5 steps to 45, so warm 45, actually removed that slight tinge of green that is added from warm 50. Obviously, it comes from warm 30 all the way up to warm 50, becomes slightly greener all the time, but because of my calibration being reference accurate, it shouldn't be a problem. But that last 5 clicks from 45 to 50 actually brings a lot green. Just by dialing that a little bit down, we got a little bit nicer, milkier kind of whites, and I like it. So now let's move on. 2-point method, low point, -9, -7, -5. Then we're gonna go to high point, +10, +7, and +18. So that's a little different. Before it was +23. Now we are gonna move over to 22-point code value. And we're gonna go to the lowest value here, and we're gonna do -10, -2, -10, -8, -10, -12, -10, -14, -2. So that's very different from before. And then -10, -15. This is the updated settings. And yeah, I enable super resolution on high, but I don't actually really tend to actually use super resolution for the fact that I'm not really boosting the sharpness. But if you want to boost the sharpness, super resolution will be a nice addition for sure. I don't always do this, but most of the time I like to enable the dark mode to level 2 when it's dark in my room. My room is completely pitch black sometimes. And then I like to enable the reduced blue light on level 2. If you for some weird reason feel that, oh, maybe level 1 could be a middle ground here. No, that will put the TV into cold 50. Don't put it into level 1 for God's sakes. Oh my god. Almost started crying. Okay, level either off, that would be my calibration. Or if you're gonna be warmer on the eyes to help your eyes at night, level 2. Never do level 1. Almost like I wanna attack LG for putting level 1 to reduce blue light, but it becomes cold 50. Like, that's insane. Holy shit. Okay, and these are my other settings, of course. I'm in standard right now. Yeah, so black stabilizer 10, white stabilizer 10 is accurate. If you want to boost this, go ahead. I don't do this right now, but I have other presets that I use for the TV, like FPS mode, RPG, where I have boosted it. So don't take it to mind too much. I just want my standard preset, or the game genre standard, to be the most accurate it can be. Game contrast, and we're gonna be changing game black level from 50 to 51, because I saw that we get slightly more black level detail near black in the very, very dark shadows of the games. And when I was looking at test patterns with all of the new settings, we actually gained a little more detail near black than before. So 51, it's going to be very, very slight though. You might not even see it. You have to look on YouTube for test patterns for 16 to 235. You can't look at full range test patterns, then it's going to be clipping like crazy. It's not the same type of test pattern for black. Game sharpness 0, game color depth 49, and I am of course in HDIG. Now I'm gonna go into the calibration tool on the TV, on the PlayStation. We're gonna do HDR always on, auto, adjust HDR, and we're gonna make sure. Wait, why am I? Maybe it's because I'm. Let me just bring out the brightness of the panel. Okay, so we can now see the sun. And maybe on the camera you can't. Oh yeah, you can. Nice. Okay, now what we're gonna do is very simple. You're gonna make sure that this sun disappears. So now I can very barely see it, and boom, it's gone. We're gonna do the same for this one. Now I can see the sun, and we're gonna... There we go. Completely gone. And this, make it as dark as it can be. Never dial it up and make it brighter. You're gonna wash out all games, and the color gamut is gonna become ruined in SDR specific, in Sony specific, like exclusive games, Sony exclusive games. This doesn't actually work for PS5 at all. It just works for Sony exclusive games. So it won't work for any normal HDR game. Just keep that in mind. Okay, that's literally it. We have nothing more to talk about here. We're done. And as I said, thank you so much for subscribing. Being a member helps the channel. It helps me tremendously. So I'm in awe over the support and all of the new channel members that we got just this week. We got like almost 6 new channel members by 1 week, which is insane. yeah, we're growing, the channel is becoming larger. I'm gonna start to create a little bit more creative content in the future, just because I think it's a lot of fun to edit videos and do kind of skits in my videos, and I think it grabs your attention a little more as well. So yeah, but thank you so much for watching, and I have nothing more to say. It's better than before. Less green, less blue. It's nice. I'm really happy using the TV like this. And yeah, thank you so much, and take care. Bye guys.